I think they might be now. I think with what they've shown us in the first
there are
day.
like 5 dark horses.
Yeah,
There are.
I mean, we had a question earlier. Who are the sleeper teams? As well? It's a sort of similar question. I understand it. I genuinely think DC could go a long way here. I think a lot of people, including myself, underestimated them. You look at them on paper, you look how they qualified, and you're thinking, yeah, they're sort of okay. They're sort of clicking, kind of coming together.
Are you more surprised by them than you are by Na'Vi going 4-0?
No. I think that's the biggest surprise, and that's no detriment to Na'Vi or to Denny or any of the players in the town. I just don't think anyone expected them to go 4-0 in that group. No one did. I mean, except for hardcore Na'Vi fans.
For me, I actually had DC top 8, and the reason is like they seemed like they were just gelling as a team. They played a ton of Dota coming into this tournament. As for like the EGN secrets, they hadn't been playing all that much. They looked really shaky at the few events we did see them. So for teams like that, I put them pretty low just because they hadn't shown it. But DC has some fantastic individual talents. A lot of them very proven at that, and I'm not that surprised.
I think it's a good point that you're saying that there's so many dark horses, because also coming in here, people are looking at LGD as kind of like, who are these guys? And you could kind of say that they're the dark horse coming in too. And we've gotten to see and know that it's unbelievable. Like, oh man.
Okay, draft is ready, so let's drop you into that right now. Rubik is first pick for Alliance. No surprise there whatsoever. Their most picked hero over the last 6 months, and the 4 bans are almost identical. I think we had the Lifestealer ban this time. It was not banned in the opening phase last time round. I think the Invoker was.
That's interesting, considering they just beat it. But Alliance
but they may not have enjoyed it. They may not have enjoyed. They might have thought that was a 30-minute game without that.
Yeah, they had to work pretty hard to beat it. I don't disagree with that. And the Rubik pick, I was doubting first pick Rubik a little earlier, but it paid dividends for them against Liquid. I really liked what they were able to do with that.
I think the problem is with teams like Alliance who do rely on it quite heavily.
This is a brutal open.
Is that they need to pick it first, otherwise it gets banned second phase. That's the problem with it, isn't it? And Phoenix Void becomes Slardar Rubik.
Now they are dire. The Slardar is definitely, I think, a very comfort zone type hero for Loda when they want him on an initiator. Slardar comes to mind very early on the hero pool. I would say Chaos Knight's also up there if they have IO, but obviously that's banned. So they're dire. Obviously helps them take the Roshan, gives them some single target burst against Phoenix, who has incredibly low base armor, and it's just interesting to see how drastically they've changed the draft from game 1 to game 2.
And hopefully they keep on doing what they've been doing. Have Bulldog on that carry type thing, and put Loda on the Space Maker, and hopefully he's playing the Slardar here.
So Lone Druid doesn't seem particularly.
Hopefully.
You're praying so hard for that as well.
Well, it's what they've been successful with, so I wouldn't see why they would steer too far away from it.
Yeah. I mean, Lone Druid doesn't seem that appealing up against Phoenix. They banned the Nature's Prophet.
Yeah, that's pretty much the 2 heroes that they used in the previous time when they won. It was the Dazzle and the Furion, so Vici is definitely doing their homework.
They will not get ambushed by a Brood again. If they see a Brood, they're gonna either expect it as a possibility, or they're just gonna be counterpicking it pretty early.
You don't want the Slardar. Was Bulldog on the Slardar in the opening game? He was, wasn't he?
Guys, I don't want to cut anybody off, but can we talk about the Void Phoenix Open?
Sure.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
This is absolutely terrifying in terms of the teamfight presence that you're going to be able to bring all stages of the game. It scales incredibly well. Level 2 Sunray is a huge threat early on in lane to protect the Void. This VG.R Open is like. I don't know. I think Doom Lion or Beastmaster Lion are my favorite 2 hero opens right now, but this is one of those where, as the opposing drafter, it's like a gut check. You have to have a plan to deal with this.
Yeah, it's really scary though. But
Silencer, great against the Wombo combo, great against Phoenix. It's a pocket pick for Alliance. They do already have the Rubik though, so generally that would be the EGM hero.
We've had an EGM Silencer already today as well.
I mean, if they didn't already have Rubik, I would say Silencer is like the dream Alliance niche hero, but now I'm not so sure.
And Vici already has, like we were saying, of course, heavy team fight already coming out. So we'll see if Alliance decides to go for more of a, not so ulti reliant team fight and going for those like small pick-off, small engagements rather than just constant big team fights.
Interestingly, Alliance banning the Death Prophet as well. I thought that was something they might consider, but it looks like they're worried about those heroes that just combo with the Void super well. Hulk also just someone who can drag out the game, give the Void extra farm later on.
Lion Phoenix supports.
This is
it's back.
That's like the dream support duo. Maybe Disruptor replacing the Lion as an alternative option, but it's going to be a tough game for Slardar. They have some great counter initiation now.
I am absolutely terrified by these first 3 picks.
Fortunately, you're not in the draft.
I was going to say, fortunately, you don't have to face them, Alan. You don't have to play in this game. You're okay.
You just put your pants out. Someone changed that, man.
Yeah, I think Alan's struggling.
Oh, boy.
Someone said a medic.
Old man, get back into life. Depends.
I was going to mention Venge, obviously against the
Yeah.
Chrono. It's really nice. Also helps you a lot with Roshan. Still, the team fight from VG.R is ridiculous.
Right. All right. Venge, you can save one target, but VG.R can get in, and we have seen some ridiculously high-level Lion play in this tournament already, and from the Chinese teams in particular.
Yeah, there was the LGD game, especially earlier. For those who missed it, they were playing MVP. They got a 4-hero vacuum impale at the Roche pit, down like 12k gold. They ultimately came back 40k gold to take the game in the series 2-0. So we've seen some great Lion play.
Yeah, and DDC is just one of those guys. You know, we saw this time and time again at Starladder. DDC just one of those players that can basically manufacture a Blink Dagger out of nowhere on Lion.
I like your word choice there.
Hack the game.
It's these 3-letter players: the DDC, MMY.
Yep.
Kuroki when he used to play the 4 more often.
That explains what's happened to ROTK and Burning then.
OS fraud.
Now we know.
Too many letters.
Now we know.
Now we know
Inspector
where they are.
LD's on the case again.
Yeah, this is also why I'm not a pro.
So, yeah,
Not enough letters.
Alliance definitely does not want a team fight at all. That is pretty devastating right now. Vici has tons of
So,
team
yeah.
fighting. Yeah, they're going for, yeah, of course. They're going to go for, like what I was saying before, just splitting up, doing small engagements, and...
It's not a bad Brood game at all. The catch was better last game.
But it
I
is a
would say.
4th
Yeah.
pick, though, so they do have
Exactly.
they do have a way to kind of
So-
respond if they want.
So
And they were
what
nervous.
do you ban here?
They were nervous at the ban, right? That's why it's gone in
Yeah.
at 4th.
Yeah,
definitely.
So, I mean, VG.R, this normally would be a mid hero. I don't know if they change it up, run something crazy like a gyro mid, but I guess you'll see what Alliance's mid is first, as Alliance have yet to pick the S4 hero, and you could potentially do something unconventional, but otherwise we'd be looking at a mid for them, and it's not the easiest lane versus a Brood, Gyro Lion,
Yeah.
especially if he gets help.
Gyro Lion and Phoenix can do pretty decent if they just straight up try lane, as long as they're very keen on having the sentries, having the dust, keeping an eye on exactly where he is, and maybe even just sunraying down and cutting down some trees. You can even use it like that.
Yeah, I think
they
that's
are
okay for
radiant
Alliance
side.
then, because Slardar gets free farm, whoever your mid is will have a relatively easy time, EGM can really focus on his jungle and early levels, so if
cut-
they're forced to try lane, it's still okay for Alliance,
Yeah.
I think.
Go cut all the trees down with Phoenix, whatever the Broodmother's going to be. Icarus dive, Sunray, everything you can to cut the trees down and then have sentries down. That's I don't think they'll do it, but that is something that's kind of a clever trick you could do.
So both teams looking for their
Demon
mid.
strats.
Kind of
Demon
surprised
strats.
to not see Queen of Pain come out here from one side or the other. And the question is, with Invoker,
There it is, yeah.
with Invoker
shocker.
and Puck banned, who do you go to? Do you go back to DK here as VG.R?
DK versus Quap, not a great matchup. I
But-
think they're gonna have their hands full with the Brood bottom, so I think you want someone who's gonna match up well against Quap. But DK is amazing in the mid game for the
And,
side.
and he gives
He
you
fits.
some push, right, to be able to counteract the Brood pushing into you.
Fits in the lineup too. He's innately tanky versus the minus armor, but
The
they do
Ember
opt for the
Spirit,
Emperor
okay,
Spirit
okay.
instead.
This makes
Hero
me-
that can actually do surprisingly okay against Queen of Pain if your mechanics are really good. Sleight of Fist dodge the Scream. You have the Flame Guard to deal with a lot of the early magic damage harassment. Definitely will need some help for No, but
Oh, this VG.R draft is just so sick. I gotta go that direction.
Okay, LD, where you go?
I think picking Brood 2 games in a row is pretty dangerous.
Yep.
Okay,
But I
but
believe in
you're
Alliance.
staying with
I
Alliance.
believe in Alliance.
Okay, I like it.
I'm gonna go with Vici as well.
Okay, alright, 2 for VG, 1 for Alliance. Let's find out how game 2 works. We've got more spiders in the works. Always like a bit of spiders. So does this man, Odie Pixel.
I guess I do. Well, here we have it. Game 2 of Alliance versus the side of VG Gaming Reborn. I'm Odie Pixel, I'm joined by Gods. We're seeing the Bulldog Brood come out again. This time, a little bit of a different lineup for VG Gaming. They do have that incredibly strong opening of the Phoenix and the Void, and they're finishing it off with what feels like tens of millions times more late game potential than what Alliance have. But we'll talk about that in a bit as we got ourselves into the game, ladies and gentlemen.
Prepare for battle.
Wham! Prepare for battle indeed. Well, certainly after the end of the game 1, we are certainly ready for some more action here in game 2. But Gods, talk to me about this, the fact that VG.R, they have the Jar of the Ember Alliance, they're running that Slardar, they are almost certainly, they need to get themselves ahead and keep ahead, surely, with this kind of lineup.
It's another Brood game from them. We know a thing or two about spiders back where I'm from, and
Oh yeah, you do.
VG.R have pretty good tools at dealing with it. Like
Yeah.
the tri-lane, which I say tri-lane because I imagine FY will spend more time helping out against the Brood. Sunray pretty good at kind of keeping tabs of him if you ever go for a kill. Like the dive plus Sunray with Dust is very dangerous for a Bulldog to play against. So I think they've got a much better line to do with the Brood. Last game, the Brood wasn't so much the problem in the early game, he became the problem later on. So Bulldog's always a player who can also catch up and become a menace in the mid to late game as well if needed.
Yeah, I mean, kind of compared to game 1 as well, would you say then this is definitely a harder game for the Brood, considering the heroes that VG.R have?
Yes, a lot of great catch. You've got Chronosphere to worry about, you've got Line Initiations, Ember Spirit, also a really good hero to try and find Brood and kill him off. You can chase him through trees using Fire Remnants, so a much tougher game for Bulldog. Laning stage, maybe not the toughest, depending on the Phoenix, but even that is, I think, going to be more difficult than the 1v1 he had against the Bat.
Yeah, we certainly did see Bulldog had that very, very strong start in game 1, which allowed him to get to that point where he was just incredibly farmed on this Broodmother and was able to offer so much in fights. At the end of the day, just kind of straight out carrying the lineup with the amount of physical damage he was dealing. Yeah, this game, looking at the upper lane kind of matchup, so the mid lane, obviously the Ember versus the Queen of Pain. Nono and S4 going to be battling it out. We should see how this goes up. Nice flame guard. That's what says is immediately the dagger removes it with the magical damage. The top lane, Yang on his Void, is going to have to deal with this tri-lane here, and they do have a fair bit of catch, so Yang's got to be careful with the way he plays around this with the time walks, and already he could be in a spot of bother. They'll throw out all the stuns onto Yang, but he does still get the time walk out, so maybe it was worth holding something off there for post-time walk from Alliance, or would they have not got it anyway?
They weren't going to get the kill.
No.
It's more about, I guess, maximizing your damage output, which perhaps holding a little bit for the stun, they could have done a bit more damage, but there's no way you get the kill. He's got a stout shield, he's got plenty of, well, the regen, it kicks in later, but they're basically trading mana for damage right now up top.
Okay, I mean, yeah, going back to this mid lane matchup, I mean, how do you expect this Storm to kind of go forward? And which side do you think is going to be more active in terms of rotating support help towards the mid lane to look for an early gank?
More likely we see Alliance rotate. They've got the Rubik and Bench, two great roaming supports. So pre-level 6, they're the ones more likely to gank. VG.R haven't got the best ways to lock down and deal with Queen of Pain Blink Escape. So if they want to go for any kind of a gank, they need to commit the Lion to that rotation.
Oh, top lane here, they've caught Yang, and this is post-time walk. He's got no escape here. This could be close to first blood. One more touch. He's going to be fine there, Stout Shield proc, and he did have the Sow. So Yang keeping himself alive here, but I mean, as expected, this is just a very scary lane here for the Void. He has to play it very carefully.
Yeah, that was Ake's last stun in this lane. So that means there's no danger of Venge roaming mid. It means once he TP's back top, there's no Venge stun to worry about. So Ake, he's kind of just limited to pulling and stacking right now until he has mana for another stun. So this lane gets a lot easier for the Void here on out.
Mid lane as well. You can see the movement from EGM. He's heading over.
I wonder if he's considering like a courier snipe or something, but bottom lane, Bulldog's been dusted up.
Oh, that's a nice stun as well, and with the power of the Sunray, they've got a good chance of bringing this man down, and they will. First blood for FY.
Oh, that freaking plasma beam or something.
Very flashy indeed. Mid lane, we're going to see Alliance now try for a bit of a go on to Nono, but he's got the flame guard up, and just turns them back and forces them out. So Nono's going to be fine. I mean, poor man's shield, a couple of levels in the flame guard. It is a hard gank on the Ember Spirit.
Yeah, and Rubik not a hero who really adds much damage to the equation, so just some kind of casual harass coming out there. And I think also recognizing that they're not going to be able to kill or pressure the Void now that Aki's out of mana. So Rubik's like, okay, I'll roam through the jungle a bit, poke around mid, stack some camps, and then come back top later on. See what the next move is going to be from the two teams. Regen Rune at bottom, still awaiting there for the Queen of Pain. And they've gone in again on Bulldog. They hit him with the dive. They get the dust. Impale just out of range. Very close on that one.
Yeah, we saw earlier DDC able to just get the tip off, but yeah.
A little bit of communication perhaps, because he didn't immediately run at the Brood as FY dived. He kind of hesitated a split second before backing him up. I think not expecting the dive to actually hit him with the slow.
Of course, even though Bulldog did die once, he's still getting a good amount of XP down on this bottom lane, halfway through level 3 at the moment.
Yeah. I don't Brood games like against 1v3 lanes, but Brood you can't really judge like how well it goes based on the Brood's number of deaths. You die once or twice, but you get levels and farm, and you pressure and keep the supports busy. Sometimes you can say like that's a successful offlane from Brood. So the one death so far not really detrimental to Bulldog's lane.
Elsewhere, in terms of this TS 18 for 8 for S4. Oh, S4
Had to verify that. He has the regen rune, so he was trying to push his hero to the limit there, but got it a bit too close, I would say.
Incredibly risky play there from the man, but keeps himself alive. And yeah, as I was saying, so S4 has got that slight edge with CS really. I mean, 21-8 against the 13 for 8. S4's going to be very happy with the way that lane's going. And the two safe laners respectively having pretty much an equal amount of success in their own lanes. Both Loader and END doing very well in CS again. Mid lane. S4 just avoiding No. He has that arcane rune, so he'll be able to secure maybe a couple of waves here with just keeping the flame guard up.
And the big difference really right now is between the offlaners. Yang is trying to just jungle, doesn't even have the Iron Talon. He's only just now about to hit level 3. Meanwhile, Brood, level 4.5 already, 10 CS, including a Soul Ring. So, been a much more successful offlane for the Brood, as you'd kind of expect, given the nature of the two drafts. But something that VG.R will have to take into consideration, that they'll have a late Chronosphere.
And then again, I mean, we are seeing Nono just continue to try and be as aggressive as he can onto S4, but just, of course, just not enough control to get a successful kill. Unless, of course, we see S4 mess up going for an aggressive blink, but S4's been playing very well so far in this series, so unlikely to see that kind of misplay during the laning stage. On lane, VG.R starting to get some pressure onto this tower, so trying to do at least one of the ways of dealing with a Broodmother, just putting out on as much pressure as they can to try and get the momentum of the bottom lane going their way. Yang returning to top, but as you said, he is suffering in terms of the levels compared to Bulldog on the off lane for Alliance. And it's going to be interesting to see if EGM is able to make a rotation towards mid lane, but indeed bottom lane, there's the action happening again. These stuns from DDC, catching Bulldog right on the edge, and it is enough.
I think even better than the stuns of the dive. The 25% slow at level 1, catching him for the 3rd time in a row.
Oh, this is big. If they can get... No. Oh, he's not got a Remnant now. In fact, he's Remnanting it aggressively, but S4!
3 HP.
Oh, man. Perfectly calculated, I'm sure he'd tell you. And now, No.
He might live. He's got bottle charges.
Oh, no, he's fine.
Oh! 10 HP.
Oh, DDC. It's just going to walk through that. I mean, both mid laners, I mean, between the two of them, 13 HP. I mean, both escaping by the skin of their teeth. That was, it felt like someone should have died there.
I mean, I saw S4 with 3 HP. That was after the initial remnants. He probably had 1 or 2 HP even when he initially got nuked down. So that's as close as it gets. Nono's thinking he probably had a solo kill there on one of the best mid players in the game.
Alliance, maybe we can look for some action top. You got S4. It looks like he's just going to go into the jungle actually, just clear up the camp.
Alliance likely just to play this kind of, they like these slow-paced early games. They're not even going to look for the Blink Dagger rush on Loader. This is something he does more than most safe lane tempo controls, which is just rush the Vanguard. We saw it last game on the Centaur. We'll see it likely again here with the Slardar. He just wants to be tanky, and even if it means the blink comes significantly later, it's okay. He can still TP in the fights. If there's ever over-aggression from VG.R, he'll still rock up. Sprint kind of means you don't have to get the blink at as early of a time, and you're a lot more fight ready when you have the Vanguard.
Oh, Bulldog, he's coming to the centre, and again, as you said, this Icarus dive slow. On top of that, the cooldown as well from END, and they'll find themselves another kill onto the Brood.
Yeah, we're reaching that point where now we can measure the offlane by the amount of Bulldog's giving up. The first death for like level 4.5, level 5 is fine, but once you start giving up 2-3 kills, and the kills are happening when he's high level. It's not like you're a level 1 Brood dying. You're currently a level 5, close to level 6 Brood dying, as well as giving away Spiderlings. End is, by a pretty decent margin, the most farmed hero in the game right now.
Absolutely.
On his Gyrocopter.
Now 1-0-2 thanks to Bulldog and indeed the CS as well. The fact that they, sometimes they've been dusting, not quite catching the Spider, but of course getting the babies and that extra CS, extra bit of gold into the pocket of the Gyrocopter. S4
is hunting. He gets the combo. It will be enough for a kill.
I mean, there is a time walk. It's a risky kill to try for. Yeah, he's holding that one in.
He's got a time walk between the Scream and the Sonic Wave, which is tricky, but definitely possible, and something S4 is not going to get baited by.
I mean, Yang's like, all right, come on, give it some, go on. S4's, he's not going to try for that one.
Nah, it's
much
definitely
too risky of a whiff.
Not worth it. There's a chance you whiff the Sonic Wave if you're blinking and blind, and also the chance of him time walking the Scream damage.
Bottom lane, Nono going to join the cause here for a push onto the tier 1.
Good rotation. Secures the gyro. Basically makes the call. Look, I'm ready to push. We're bullying this Brood.
They've got 4 heroes coming onto the bottom. Can they actually punish anyone here? No. He's actually going to start to move in onto S4.
He's an Arcane Ring. He's very, strong.
Yeah, he's got a remnant as well, and immediately backs off. So at the end of the day, VG.R get themselves to tier 1, and essentially just waste the time of 4 members of Alliance.
Yeah, that was really good pressure coming out from them, and Alliance can kind of try and retaliate at this bottom tower, but Phoenix is there ready to dive away if needed, has a TP as well. Fortunately for FY, he's not quite level 6. He will have a supernova very soon. But if you're VGR, you're kind of like, okay, they've just TP'd a lot here. Let's just farm these other lanes. Let's get Yang his Chronosphere up. Let's get Gyrocopter to the top lane to start pressuring up there. He's got the Ring of Aqua to push with.
Oh, and this time S4 tries it. Feels that he may have the kill with the control from EGM, but yeah, it's he just can't get the burst out before the potential for the time.
That's 2 minutes, no Sonic Wave now too, so there's no way Alliance can really try and take team fights off of this. Loda has got his Vanguard and is kind of hunting around the bottom lane, but...
they've got a Chrono, but oh, EGM nearly gets himself out with the stolen Time Walk. But yeah, no escape for this man as they'll find the kill onto the Ruby. The question is, can VGR get more? Ake's come in. DDC trying to see if he can get a Hex off. So S4 jumps in. This time the burst will be successful. Punishes the Void. So at the end of the day, Alliance, they'll be the ones happy with that trade. 1 for 1, and well, meanwhile, bottom lane, Bulldog, he's catching FY post dive. He's going to go for the Sun. Bulldog, hit it? No, he's running. He wants to play it safe, sees the TV coming in for the Gyrocopter. And Loda as well, just backing off. So, forcing the Supernova out, they get a Rubik for the Faceless Void trade in the mid lane. Alliance will be alright with that one.
Yeah, and a lot of rotations from VGR have to come bottom lane to react to that, so frees up mid a bit. S4 is going to start poking at the tier 1 tower, working away on it. And VGR will continue to kind of work towards some of their next items, get Ember Spirit, his boot to travel up when possible. It's not been the best farm on No-No's mid, although with the tough matchup, he's done what he can. And I like the fact that he's been more active and rotated around to the bottom lane as well to help secure the early towers for Gyro, who is incredibly farmed. 5k net worth on Gyro already. And that's something which VGR Alliance don't really have the best kind of counter carry to right now.
And DDC want to make something happen with this amount of power that the Gyro's got underneath his wings, and they'll be looking for S4s. As he is at the moment on his own on the mid lane. We'll see if DDC can get the opening as well with the chains into the follow-up control from DDC. It'll be more than enough. They'll take down S4 on the Queen of Pain, and VGR finding the tier 1 here as well in the mid lane. So really nice rotation. At the same time though, Alliance, they were able to make a movement and catch out the Void. So Yang going down for VGR. So again, the trades are being made, and in terms of the towers as well as mid tier 1 and top tier 1 looks to go the way of Alliance. So Alliance still being able to find something there, but
not sure Alliance can get this tower with Gyrocopters. They'll spot the rotation, but it doesn't give them any capabilities to initiate on end or really continue this push. So still VGR overall getting a lot more map control. The towers they're taking are the kind of more important towers on this bottom and mid side of the map. These taking the mid tower gives you full access to the Dire Jungle, to the secret shop, to the Roche area.
Look, he was looking for a bit of a wraparound, but he's got to be careful of Alliance.
He's going to see a lot of heroes.
Maruda, Ake, and EGM coming around. DDC, just hold your breath, son. Hiding in the trees.
He's got a finger, so they can quickly burst one down. And
they might just...
do you burst S4?
I mean, No-No's got to be careful. He's got an Invis room. We'll see how much intel he can get. The rest of VGR coming across as well. VGR does have the full lineup, and they want to find immediately. Going in with a Hex onto EGM, looking for the control. Supernova as well to make sure there's no backup, but there is. Ake gets the swap, and EGM with a Time Walk as well to back off the damage. He's going to be fine. Finger finally comes around to Ake. Oh, the cooldown comes down onto the head of the Vengeful Spirit.
Finger. Whoa. Doesn't get a chance to use it now, but that's a big steal.
Next time EGM might be able to find some vengeance there for the Vengeful.
It looked like VGR expected Alliance to retaliate because they commit the egg very prematurely there. No, because they'd seen all these heroes. Like, Alliance suddenly like, oh crap, there's 4 heroes running right at me. What do I do? Let's try and fight our way out of this. But once they caught EGM with the initial impale, for the rest of Alliance, like the Slaughter just ran to top lane. He had no interest in fighting that. Brube was at bottom. Queen of Pain didn't want to go in. So Alliance effectively just sacked EGM, but EGM didn't even die. They didn't want to commit the finger.
Mid lane, they're going in. Here's the burst, the control. Oh, Sonic Wave, it will clip him. No in trouble. EGM used the finger for this one as well, but they're not going to find the kill. So finger and Sonic Wave committed for that one, but they don't manage to take down the Ember.
That's a couple Sonic Waves in a row now. S4 hasn't quite been able to secure these kills. Makes it a lot harder for Alliance to take the subsequent fights, and now we're approaching that point where Loda does have to start thinking about the Blink Dagger. We'll be perhaps getting some more alone time towards that farm, and VG.R have already, okay, they deward this lane ward up top, and that makes this top tier 1 tower a lot easier to defend, and a lot more, Alliance are just much less likely to try group up around that area since they don't have good vision. Really limits what options are available to them, and it seems Alliance are just going to slow things down, try and farm the Slider Blink. Bulldog has a Midas, so he just wants to kind of play the farm game as well. It will be a different Brood build out of him this time around.
Maybe I guess a build more orientated towards the fact that Bulldog, we can probably expect him to see pushing a little bit more on his own this game rather than looking to try and join the team fights, because team fighting into VG.R's lineup, that is something that you don't really want to be doing as a 5v5 because of the strength of VG.R's heroes.
It's more of an awkward game this time around, although they have a Queen of Pain who also builds that item, so I'm not sure if they're going to want to double up on the Orchid, but having it against the Void so you can stop the Time Walk, the Chrono's great, having it to be able to gank and kill off the Ember Spirit, very important, so we may see that if Alliance are comfortable with their mid game, but if you're going Orchid, your late game as a Brood is going to be a lot more limited, and that's where the Echo Saber was a more kind of late game kind of oriented build from Bulldog last time around.
Radiant's middle tower
VG.R coming around
They're kind of
towards the
faking
mid.
this push up top. They're actually trying to fight mid, with
This
the
could
Ember
work
Spirit.
out nicely. If they can get an initial catch off, no. He's going to look for the aggressive Remnant. Gets the chains out onto Ake, and they'll close the gap in onto the Vengeful Spirit. Stun as well from DDC. More than enough control to take down Ake. At the same time, and continue the push up top, and he should be able to finish off this tier 1. So VG.R again with the favourable action by far. A kill and a tower as well.
They lost their tier 1 mid though, which is a pretty important tower to try and keep up as long as possible. So I don't think Alliance will be too worried about that. It's their 5 position support. They get a tier 1 tower. It's not really the end of the world, considering that VG.R committed a 4-man smoke rotation towards that tower. I think Alliance look back on that one and say, well, we didn't really lose all too much.
And Midas now done for FY on his Phoenix, so we're going to start to see those levels come online very, very nicely for the man. He's already about to touch onto level 9, so he will have a pretty good timing on the level 11 Supernova, which could cause issues for Alliance indeed in these fights, especially if Yang's able to find some big Chronospheres.
And it's ZYF who's just farmed out of control still. He's 8k net worth almost. The 2 Alliance cores and the Queen of Pain, well, all 3 of their cores hovering around that 6k mark, and that's where it's like this 1 super farm carry against kind of 3 all decently scaling cores in the side of Alliance. And that's where if N can kind of stay ahead, get the SMY into BKB, later on maybe needs like an MKB to deal with the Brood as well. He's going to have the tools he needs to fight into those Alliance heroes.
There we have it, Alliance. Themselves a quick Roshan, and VG.R not able to react to that one at all. So S4 now with the Aegis, ready for the next fight. And they do need it. I mean, we can see it at the moment. Considering Alliance's lineup, they just haven't been able to find much action at all. It's 7 for 2 with 17 minutes in. Alliance, they've got to be very careful how they fight with these heroes, and especially into the power of VG.R, as you said. The fact this is Jaro, with the amount of farm he's now got a Manta style done as well.
I mean, much more a farming Roshan / Aegis. They almost just take it because it gives them extra gold, it gives them an extra life, so Queen of Pain can farm more aggressive in the map, but they're not really ready to fight. Okay, they just got the Slider Blink, but Queen of Pain doesn't quite have Orchid. Maybe with the Orchid they try to take the fight to VG.R, but you're fighting into Chrono Sunray, you're fighting into Cooldown, you're fighting into a lineup that is incredibly scary. Your Brood can't really do anything in a teamfight scenario, so I don't feel like Alliance are actually that equipped to teamfight VG.R despite having an Aegis. They can find pickoffs, they can play aggressive, but you do not want to just straight up 5v5.
I'm talking about playing aggressive. VG.R themselves, you can see here up on the high ground, wanting to jump onto Alliance if they do come out. Alliance, 3 men at the moment behind the tier 2, going to make that 4. Bulldog will catch vision of some of these boys from the side, so Alliance know what's up. And VG.R just back off.
And Queen of Pain TP's back to join up his team, likely to make an aggressive play off of this Orchid pickup. But that was scouted out by the Radiant Courier, so they should know the Orchid is online.
Well, they've actually caught the vision onto DDC. Right on the Orchid. DDC just able to get himself out of range of that sentry, and nonetheless it's a hard move for Alliance to even think about chasing that one down.
Not the ideal quote-unquote reveal, although I think they already knew it was coming their way.
Jam is going to get caught out by DDC, Sunray's out as well, and bam, he's gone. Rubik removed from the game by the power of VG.R.
It's actually going to be a Manta-style pickup on Jaro, wanting to have a way to dodge some of these stuns, as well as get out of the Orchid or the Queen of Pain. Not that he's a really prime Orchid target, but if he's ever getting initiated on, this can help him dispel, amplify damage, dodge a Vengeful Spirit stun, help kind of disrupt the Brood aggression onto him as well. So it's a really nice item, all things considered, this game.
Lions, 3 of them on the side. I mean, oh, I'm gonna have a pause here.
Okay.
I wonder if Alliance are contemplating going in on this one. Wow.
I didn't know. I didn't know OG could fit on a screen.
I was going to say, I wouldn't mind flying on my screen. In fact, I believe that's my desktop wallpaper at the moment. Such a beautiful man. But Alliance, they're looking to fight here from the high ground. S4, he's got the Sonic Wave available. What kind of opening can they find? Loaded jumps to get the crush up on GDC, but immediately the reaction, the Supernova coming out. They manage to get the silence out onto Yang, so he can't get out the Chrono, getting bursted low. He will get taken down. They'll be able to finish off the egg as well. Alliance finding 2. They lose 2 in response, but the Aegis is there on S4. They might even be able to ready to find even more. Looking towards End, he's been caught on his own. Alliance, they've got 3 heroes closing in around him. End's going to look for the TP out. They've got anything to counter this one? No, they haven't. End will escape. But they finish off Lion on the side. It's 3 heroes down on VG.R. They only find the kill onto Loader and take away the Aegis from S4. So a very good fight, all things considered there from Alliance, and a huge amount of that down to the fact that they silenced the Void so we couldn't get off that Chrono strip.
Yeah, S4 was the playmaker, the god of that fight. That Chrono would have allowed the Supernova to pop. There was 2 heroes in perfect position. The 2 heroes that were hitting the egg, who were meant to get Chrono there, but the silence was coming into play and there was no answer to that. Lion almost managed to lock down the Queen of Pain for long enough. He actually got the Hex, but then he got crushed, and I think Void perhaps just a tiny bit too slow, but the thing is, Yang doesn't have a blink. If he has a blink there, he gets the Chrono off, but without a blink, he's got to walk in, then get that, like, the Time Walk gives you a small gap close, but he also needed to move a bit further, so until he gets a Blink Dagger, it isn't perhaps a reliable initiation for the Void.
And as you said, with the way that, you know, his gold is stacking up a little bit, he's very close to having that Blink Dagger, so he's playing it safely maybe before he has that available. And then they'll look to try and take a fight again, because they can't afford to do this against Alliance. You know, Alliance, they were falling behind in terms of kills, but getting that amount of action, Alliance will be very, very happy with that indeed. But at the same time, the Gyro gets out. END continues his kind of reign of power. They'll try and jump onto him, but immediately the Manta Star. S4 did blink into this one, and the cooldown slow will catch him. Do they have any further follow-up control? No, gets himself on the chains. Remnants him, but Ake's there with the swap, saving S4, keeping him away from the Ember Spirit. And the rest of Alliance now on the retreat. It looks like VG.R won't be able to catch anyone else out here.
And S4 makes an amazing silencer, makes a bit of a questionable play there, does get away, but not sure what the plan is, trying to initiate on the Gyrocopter who has the Manta style. But either way, they get out without any casualties, lose a tier 2 tower, and VG.R probably happy just to fall back and continue their item progression and farm. They only just recently got the Blink Dagger on Yang, so they'll be ready to fight again soon, but more likely it'll be around the cooldown and the Finger of Death coming back online.
And it really feels like, as we said, kind of going back towards the draft at the start, that VG.R, there's not a huge amount of pressure on this lineup, surely.
Yeah.
They're very comfortable with the pace.
Oh yeah, Sunray always scales
That's
well
gonna
into
be
the
great.
late game.
Jar and
Chronosphere.
Ember, you know.
Yeah, you got no problems going late game with this VG.R side. For Alliance, a hero like Slaughter is pretty good as like a 3 position going into the late game, which is kind of what he is, but you're playing like a Brood with Slaughter. The one good thing Alliance have going their way is it's a true tri-core lineup going late game. They've got Venge, who as a support swap always going to be very useful. You amplify your team's physical damage as well. So Slaughter, Venge, physical damage is going to be very potent from the Brood, as well as even like heroes like Queen of Pain. S4 often goes like this BKB into either Assault Crest, Shivers, more of fighting Queen of Pain type play, so...
Ake, Faki?
Ooh, careful, Ake.
This, I mean, it's a good ward here, because you can see that VG.R, they really want to fight. They have all the ultimates available, so a nice ward from Ake.
He got that down undetected. That's actually like a... I've never actually seen that ward spot, I don't think, recently in this patch, but with the towers being moved up, that ward spot is actually insane.
That's absolutely huge, and it's going to spot out this whole movement and indication for VG.R, so Alliance know that they do not want to stick around for a fight here. They'll see, obviously, the blink on Yang.
Okay, well...
And again, Ake's ward.
Yeah.
Doing a hell of a lot here for Alliance.
There's not really any play Alliance can make, it feels, to counter this one. They can try and sit on their high ground around the secret shop, but more likely they just try dodge this smoke gank.
I mean, they should obviously know that it's coming, because it was underneath the ward.
Sticking around a long time. Ake may still get caught.
Maybe they feel confident in trying to fight back into it.
But
I mean, nonetheless, they are avoiding it, but I mean, only just right on the edge. As they do manage to move around the movements of VG.R.
They really cut that one very close, considering that they actually scouted it out. Well, I assume they scouted it out. They had the vision. They may have not actually physically seen it, but Battle Fury coming soon on Nono's Ember Spirit, so starting to get some of his farming items up as well as his progression towards the late game. No problem for N's Gyrocopter, who has BKB and Manta Star, which is why they wanted to go for the smoke play there. This Gyrocopter has 2 defensive tools to guarantee that he gets a lot of damage off in these fights. But it's Bulldog once again with the Echo Saber plus BKB going into this fighting Brood build.
Yeah, BKB on Bulldog, Crimson Guard done on Loader.
Radiant's top
The
tower
items are coming online for the fights, but at the same time, Alliance looking to kind of avoid the pressure of VG.R, just looking for a bit of a push themselves on the top lane. As tier 2 for tier 2 trade looks to proceed.
Yeah, with the Phoenix and the Void in these trees, there's like no real easy way to initiate and defend this bottom tower if you're Alliance. The best bet is to go for the trade. Problem is, you don't push all that fast. You've got good physical damage for killing heroes with minus armor. You don't have good physical damage for breaking towers, so they don't even find themselves getting the tier 2 tower at top as a result.
Alliance, I mean, they themselves, do you think we can expect to see Alliance smoke up and try and catch VG.R out, or is he just... I mean, how do you play around a lineup like VG.R that has so much potential for a strong team fight and strong responses as well to you jumping in?
They want to try to secure the next Roshan, which is less about asserting dominance over VG.R in terms of team fight, but you split push. You force, like, do exactly what they do there, which is force VG.R to come back top to defend this lane, and then that frees up Roshan. So if Roshan was alive just now, Alliance could have quickly TP'd over, well, they don't have any tier 2 towers alive, but they could have quickly made a move into the pit. They kill Roche so fast with amp damage and the Venge Wave of Terror that VG.R don't really have the ability to respond to a Roshan if they're on the wrong side of the map. VG.R, if they want to contest Roche, they have to basically be camped around Roche at all times.
1 minute or so before Roshan is back up.
And fighting around Roche is good for VG.R with Supernova as well as the Void Chronosphere, but it's always going to come down to the pressure that's happening on the other lanes as to whether that's even possible or not. And if Alliance can get up a couple BKBs, they will have the ability to kill off that Supernova a lot easier. No guarantees because of the Chronosphere still.
EGM immediately just keeping himself out of harm's way as Nono moves in on the Ember Spirit. Roshan is going to be up any second right now, FY. Yeah. Oh, did he actually? I think he left before it spawned, so he's...
We'll probably put an illusion rune in there though.
I'm sure it will. There we go.
Oh, maybe
No.
We'll leave it in the river.
There we go.
Okay.
There we have it. So yeah, both teams aware that the Roche is out. Of course, there was a spider right in there from Bulldog. So Roshan potentially the next big kind of fighting point of this game.
I mean, VG.R have a lineup that does not take Roche. So for them, it's more about fighting Alliance when they go into the pit. For Alliance, it's about making sure they're going into the pit when VG.R are not there to contest. So it'll be a bit of a give and take between the two teams here. Vision around the area will become very important, as this is where you may even consider, like, if you want to contest Roche, you need to pick up a gem. Deny vision from Alliance, make it harder for them to come into play, and they've been scouted out.
Great scan from VG.R.
Ooh.
They know what's up.
Bulldog gets dusted here, very aggressive from FY.
And it's kind of pulling VG.R up here, so Alliance may be able to get some sort of a wraparound.
FY had no backup there. It needs to perhaps trying to bait and then have the Void come in. Let's set up a Blink Chronosphere, but I imagine what they think happened is the scan scatter the Brood, but not the 4-man smoke. They probably were like, oh, it's just a Brood because there's webs there, so we can maybe catch the Brood alone. But the scan actually caught out the full Alliance squad.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Now VG.R just being very, very careful about the whereabouts of Alliance, and N's actually going to start to move in and do some damage here to this tier 3, ready to start to get a bit of a push on and to poke Alliance and see how they react to this bit of play.
Yeah, the problem is for Alliance, all their vision is very deep and aggressive on the map, but they're at the stage of the game where securing Roshan and playing more defensive is going to be what they have to do. They haven't got the Aegis anymore. They have to fight this heavy team fight, so much more limited in terms of just vision on their side of the map. They've managed to get one up near the Roshan pit, importantly. That's really the only one useful ward they have right now.
It certainly feels that way. We're going to see S4 and Bulldog at the moment positioning themselves just the side behind VG.R. VG.R, of course, spotting this all out. They know what's up. They know Bulldog's in the neighborhood. And in fact, they're diving forward. They'll pop the dust, trying to catch him, but he's out. Bulldog just a little bit too speedy.
Yeah.
They can't quite close the gap. VG.R though, beginning to cement their position around it. No, wants to catch DDC out, but Yang, he's there, he's quick with the chrono, catches out S4. They'll lose DDC though, can they kill S4? S4 wants the BKB, turns around with the Sonic Wave, gets swapped out from Ake. He'll be kept alive. Bulldog trying to work his way through. No, can he get it? No, remembers himself up to the high ground. He'll continue to chase Bulldog. Can he find this Ember Spirit? And he, no, continuing to hide on the cliff. He's going to be able to keep himself alive for the time being. Crush onto FY. VGM moving in with the control. Telekinesis to make sure this bird can't fly away. And Alliance find themselves a second. The rest of VGR getting themselves away from the pit. And a very nice fight, really, for the side of Alliance, considering that all the ways that could have gone horribly wrong for them.
Yeah, jumping, perhaps not using the Void and the Phoenix together to full effect. They managed to catch out S4, but if you're going to one-man Chrono S4, you've got to kill him inside that Chronosphere. But without the Lying Finger of Death, they didn't have the full-up damage. Gyrocopter wasn't doing any damage in the Chronosphere, so it was just Sunray and Void, and this Void does not right-click very hard, so S4 blinking in aggressively paying off since he took the Lion out of the equation, and the Slater also almost gets caught in the Chronosphere, doesn't quite get him inside it, and as a result, the Lion still goes down. And
oh, S4 just blinking back, making sure that DDC couldn't manage to find the follow-up lockdown on the line.
Alliance is just like mid to late game decision making just seems to be a notch above what we've seen out of VG.R. We had it last game too, where VG.R managed to kind of, even just through their draft, get a lot done and really pull away, but Alliance just in these clutch situations are making the plays they need to.
It's really nice plays as well from Ake. We're seeing time after time some great swaps, keeping heroes alive, like in that situation, pretty much absolutely, crucial to keeping S4 alive.
By the way, Sunray also stolen by EGM. Well,
it's a good spell.
That's one way to counter the Phoenix. Get a Phoenix on your own team.
Alliance just hanging back once again. Even though they're able to kind of take that fight around the Roshan pit, and still very, very scared of the power of VG.R. As they're just allowing Bulldog to find a bit of farm to make sure he can close that gap, finish off the Assault Cuirass that he is simply a few hundred gold away from having.
I mean, at that point, it's really Alliance who have all the tools they need to take team fights. They have an Aegis on S4, they've got the BKBs, they've got a Brood who does a ton of damage here. This is not a Brood who's falling off anytime soon. And No on this Ember Spirit is really just struggling to get a whole lot. He hasn't died once this game. He was actually lucky not to die in that fight, but he doesn't also feel like a threat in these fights. Whereas someone like S4 or Bulldog on the Queen of Pain and Brood, if they get on top of a hero, that hero is suddenly in a lot of trouble. Ember in these fights seems to just be struggling to secure his team kills. Alliance just have too much sustainability. Items like the Crimson Guard on Slaughter kind of providing that. The Assault Crow is going to give even more survivability. The Venge Swap, as you mentioned, from Ake, helping keep these cores alive. And VG.R, the defensive power of the Phoenix Sunray just doesn't really seem to match up against what we're seeing out of the Alliance supports.
I see DDC trying to set something up on this top lane with the positioning in the tree line with FY. Wants to be careful about jumping in though, because Loda does have backup.
Yeah, this is a two-hero duo that cannot get kills. You got to play around your cores at this stage of the game if you're VG.R. You don't go for, even if it's, I mean, maybe you go for
Maybe they can burst Ake.
Yeah. It seems like high risk, low reward, but they're going to go for it anyways. No, they're not. They pop the Fire Spirits, they don't commit. Perhaps if he went for another creep wave, they would have, but it's not even worth risking a Venge kill in my mind there. Killing a Venge doesn't really get you anything, and the chance of Alliance coming in and counter-ganking you is so high. Venge now with 8th lane, so you get that added swap range.
It's going to be very, very nice indeed, as we can see. A huge reach for Ake next time round. And he has been there each and every time for the cause of his team, making sure he can get the saves off. BKB and MKB now done and end, so he himself in a very good place to fight.
Yeah, it's always he's farmed, he's where he should be, and perhaps even should be and more, but it just feels like Alliance still have a lot of tools and just survivability to fight into him. The armor advantage coming out from the Assault Cuirass. We could see like a Shiva's Guard next on S4 if they really want to even more armor on their side, and if you take someone like Lion out of the equation, suddenly it's only Gyrocopter really left alive to dish out reliable damage. With Ember Spirit having to go defensive into a Manta style. He's got Battle Fury Manta. He's not going to have a Daedalus anytime soon.
And Smoke and go here from the side of Alliance. They've got everything available, everything ready. We'll see what they can find. At the least, getting a nice deep ward down onto the side of the map of VG.R.
Storm might find the Phoenix here. He's pinging him.
Yeah, he's got it. Orchid down. F4's going to go for the TP out. Would the Sonic Wave be enough? S4 believes it will be, and indeed the calculation's correct. With the Orchid tick damage at the end, brings down the Phoenix. And a nice one-on-one pick-off there for the quad.
Does mean we're going to see the Aegis expire soon anyway, so Alliance is kind of using this stage of the game to increase their lead, get some more map control up, and just kind of use this gem that they've got on Loader now to take out any Radiant Vision they can find, although quite a bit has kind of eluded them so far for now. It's VG.R who just don't seem to be keeping up. You've got Yang up to 2.6k gold on Void, but there's no like real obvious item that's going to be coming his way soon to... He's not going to be able to transition to a core, like a late game carry at any stage. He can go for something like defensive, like a BKB to help against the silence and the stuns, but very unlikely we see him get any kind of reliable DPS going in these fights.
Right, it feels like it's come to a very similar point as it did in game one, where both teams very much being careful about the fights that they choose to take. But as you said, this is giving space for Alliance to start to catch up a little bit in the sense that, at the start, VG.R, they were finding the majority of the favourable pickoffs, but Alliance, they managed to close that gap, and they are farming relatively well. But it's always going to be that imminent threat of the fact that both End and No are on those two kind of powerhouses, the Gyrocopter and the Ember Spirit, and are going to get exponentially scarier and scarier.
Decided it's time to go for an all-out 5-man smoke. They want to take a big fight here. DDC leading the way, ready to go with that blink lockdown.
Now let's see what kind of opening he finds. They might catch out Loader.
S4 going to walk into him.
Whoa, that BKB instantly coming out. Loader's there with the reaction, jumping in onto DDC, looking to take down the line, and they will. S4 looking at the Supernova, realizes he can't go for it. Chrono, but Ake with the swaps. This man, absolutely beautiful.
And S4's got regen. He can go back in with the Sonic Wave soon.
Oh, yes, indeed. He wants to avenge Ake, and they may just do it with the help of Bulldog, chasing down the Gyrocopter. Here we have it. Hugh. Bulldog gets the kill. Yang caught out by the telekinesis. This is going to be another one for Alliance. 4 heroes down, and all off the back of the fact that Ake, with the beautiful swap, saving S4, as you said, allowing S4 to get the regen off, get himself back in. And his participation there, allowing Alliance to take that team fight perfectly.
Yeah. Also, DDC, I mean, hats off to S4 getting the BKB off, but very slow on the Hex or the Impale from DDC when he blinked to the high ground. He had a chance to Hex him before the BKB came out. He didn't get it off, and as a result, S4 stays alive just long enough for Ake to save his life with that swap.
And we have it. Moving in. DDC actually going to get caught out here. The Sonic Wave as well, and he's gone. They found the line. In fact, they might get the Gyro as well. He's gone. There's a dieback from the ND as well. No. They're both dead for 70 plus seconds. And Alliance, they're going to get the racks in the middle lane. And without these two cores, not enough money to buy back on the Ember. Because a dieback from the Gyrocopter. Alliance, they are going to have a lot of time to work with this one. They'll clean up the mid lane, head down and take the tier 2, and they may even be able to get more. This, an incredibly scary position for VG.R to find themselves in.
Yeah, I imagine Alliance will say, let's keep going. There's 40 plus seconds on the two main cores. There's
go.
No Chronosphere as well. This is at least a tier 3 tower, probably going to be more for them. All VG.R can do is try and delay until their cores come back online, but no Alliance, they're going to play it safe.
I mean, it is now less than 20 seconds before Supernova and Chrono's available.
Yeah.
It's...
I think also, they're unaware of the Ember buyback. Okay, so...
Yes, they're unaware that he doesn't have the money for buyback.
In their mind, it's like, okay, we know there's no Gyro, but if Ember buys back and we get caught in a Chronosphere, perhaps we get destroyed. And that's one way where you can quickly see the game swing the other direction, so...
Bloodthorn now picked up by Bulldog. I mean, this is a scary item. You lay that down on someone and get the Spider Arcs biting away. That's a lot of red numbers.
Void does have Diffusal now, so we can use this to dispel off the silence, be it from the Orchid or the Bloodthorn. Something which has plagued him in a lot of these fights, but it still doesn't feel like the most reliable in terms of survivability. The BKB does cost a bit more, but perhaps would be the slightly preferred option here. Does give him the ability to purge off the silence from teammates, I suppose is always nice. Right now, though, it's just going to enter that kind of desperate stage of the game where VG.R can't afford to lose another fight. Even just giving Alliance Roshan could be game over for them. They've got to execute their team fight. And that's what the big thing we saw in game number 1, where the ease of execution wasn't there for their lineup. Again, if Yang doesn't hit a good Chronosphere, we have only seen one-man Chronos, and every single time Venge is in position for the swap. Ake is never going to be standing close enough to his core heroes to get caught in a Chronosphere with them, so almost every single time you've got to expect Ake to be able to save his teammate. So someone like the Lion or perhaps the Ember has to go in the back lines and find the Venge, but even that in itself, Ake's getting tanky. He's got a buckler now, he's got 1200 plus HP. Alliance have all the necessary ingredients to complete this Game 2 victory.
And we really do. And I mean, one thing that we've got to remember, though, is VG.R's high ground defense. It is brilliant. If they have the full 5-man alive there. We saw Alliance find that perfect window where, you know, they were able to punish just, you know, the misplay of kind of the 2 cores of VG.R. But next time, you'd imagine that VG.R, they're going to learn from that mistake. They're not going to let that happen again. And as long as they can have at least, 4 heroes minimum there, ready to defend, a couple of ultimates available, it is going to be very hard for Alliance to break the base again.
Oh yeah, and get another item or two on, like Ember can complete his Daedalus very soon.
Yeah.
Gyrocopter, wonder which direction he wants to head, if he feels like they're in a desperate enough position to go for something like a Rapier or not. But they've got 2 great Rapier late game carries.
Look at this though, if they catch on, no. I guess it's hard, yeah. With the Manta, should be fine in VG.R. They are all there. See who wants to make the jump. Oh no, eyes in onto Bulldog, just giving a bit of a tickle with the slide. Loader, he's ready for some kind of reaction, sprinting forward. Alliance very hesitant about jumping in here. They've got to find the perfect one. In fact, DDC gets the initial lockdown onto Loader. Sunray's out as well with the finger, the chrono, but again, Ake with the swaps, getting Loader out of there. Bulldog moves in with that, chomps down to Supernova. They get themselves a second. ENT pops the BKB, but it might not matter. S4 blinking forward. They'll take down the Gyrocopter as well. 3 dead off VG.R. Yang, he's in trouble. The silence is there. GG is called. Alliance have done it 2-0 against Vici Reborn, and Alliance this series playing absolutely perfectly as a team, outplaying Vici Gaming, and Ake with his swaps. Absolutely perfect each and every time, and pretty much made every Chronosphere initiation redundant.
And this is just great Alliance synergy and team play being showcased here. And just incredible stuff, like Alliance just